to another Lead In with Lorne. And this week I want to talk about the snowplow business. And, there's been a lot of talk about snowplow parents, different than helicopter parents, I guess parents that want to do everything to clear everything out of the way for their children. And I think the same thing can happen at work, snowplowing at work, where sometimes that rather than letting people really kind of find their way and go through and deal with the joy of the struggle and getting to some better spot, we feel somehow that we need to rescue. I think there are times and places to rescue, actually, and I think that's when someone's in a position of really hurting themselves or hurting others. We never want harm to be a lesson when we know that we can get people out of the way. However, oftentimes the real issue is around our need that we're working. We're trying to be in control ourselves, frankly, and we get in the way and try and plow everything out of the way, do everything for everybody, and we rob them of this full learning opportunity. A little story that has stuck with me, I'm not particularly proud of it, but I want to share it, is in theory, if it wasn't for a Greyhound bus driver when I was 16 years old, that I'd be dead today, along with two of my dear friends. And I got my driver's license when I was 16, and I took my operator's license on an automatic. But the best deal I could get on a car was on a 61 standard Vauxhall. And I was too proud to take lessons. My dad and mom really wanted me to take driver's lessons. No, I didn't have any time. I was too busy. I didn't need to. I kind of wheelied around the front yard area in front of our place and popping the clutch. And, I did that for a few times and thought, I'm ready. And there was a big gathering of high school friends, and I drove out to a big sort of marshmallow roast, and we called wiener roast then, and we were all there. And then driving home late at night, about 11:30, I went through a stop sign on just a newly developed road, and that road intersected with the main road to the airport. And a Greyhound bus came screeching towards us and popped us on the side. Ironically, it was filled with Red Army Russian dancers. So you got to remember, this was 1966. So that was kind of a big deal. All of a sudden, all these cars are around. Anyway, I went and had to walk to a local hotel to find a place. Of course, there's no cell phones. Called my father, and he was working that night. He was a general manager at a hotel all the way across town. And I called him. I said, hey, I'd gotten in an accident. And he said, well, that's really too bad. Was anybody hurt? And I said, well, no, luckily, no. Danny got his arm. It was Dan Bomeister, actually, who's the father of Jay Bomeister, who plays for St. Louis Blues. But he got his arm a little bit sore, but everybody's okay. And so my dad said, well, good luck. And he hung up. And I can still feel that moment. I'm going, holy crap, what am I going to do? And he literally, next morning, I had to find a way to get the car towed, where to get it towed. Obviously, I had no experience around being in an accident, thank goodness. Although I seem to have become practiced at it later in my life, but that's a different story. But I had to go down to the insurance agent, and I had to figure out how to get it down towed, and I had to pay the insurance deposit. I got charged for going through a stop sign, and I had to go to court. But he let me, he was empathetic, but there was no help, none, zero. And my mother was the same way. I was pissed off I would do that, and maybe that's true. And thank goodness, because boy, have I learned that. I learned from that. I learned about what self-accountability really meant. And I learned tons. And, I think it took more courage for my mom and dad to let me go and have a navigate my way through it. Nothing harmful. The worst thing that happened is I wouldn't get my car for a long time. And you know what? They didn't care about that. They probably thought that was a good idea. But I've always remembered that. And hopefully that little story sticks with you when sometime you feel like you've got to go and rescue. Don't. Unless, of course, someone could be really hurt. Then, of course, like I said, please get in the way. Make sure that doesn't happen. But otherwise, and oftentimes at work, the best thing you can do is to be there as a guide, to be there to support, to help. but not to plow everything out of the way. Allow for the learning to take place. Stay away from perfection and know that you have lots of iterative times, a lot of times to go and make things better. And that's my little story for the week. I hope that resonates with you in some way. As always, would love to have you follow our socials. Hey, we did a new newsletter this last week where we're talking about connecting leadership and culture to current events. It's called the Hot Topics, and it comes out every Friday. I hope you like it. Our regular blog will continue to come out Tuesday. We're at the 976 blog, I think, Garrett and I. So we're pretty proud of that. And now with this newsletter and our other this blog, and don't forget Culture Cast with Lynette. Thank you for being so much of a great follower. Can't do without you. You inspire us. Bye for now.